to help all students on campus so everybody gets support. We all have one goal in mind, and that's for our students to succeed.
Palm Bay Magnet High School is an emotionally safe environment. Its diversity is its strength. And when I say diversity, I don't just mean cultural or linguistic diversity. We have a wide range of academic abilities. We have a wide range of programs to meet every student at every level that they come to us. And we have such knowledgeable faculty, but they're not just knowledgeable, they're really genuinely caring. And they want to meet the students where they are and work to make them come up to where we need them to be and to where they need themselves to be.
It's been amazing. I've seen aspects both from in the classroom and in sports. We all support one another. The coaches are great. They're going to push you to be your best on and off the court. Our teammates are going to push each other. We know our strengths and weaknesses, and we continue to strive for the better for all of us, and not just individually.
One of the things you notice if you talk to any of the adults on campus is how much they genuinely care for the students here. The goal of Palm Bay High is for everyone to feel included.
The culture of Port Malabar can be summed up as positive, supportive. Many of our teachers have their own kids enrolled here. Many of the teachers were students themselves here. So I'm very proud of that family-oriented, family-focused, very warm, welcoming feeling that we have here at Port Malabar. Academics and social emotional growth will be the focal point, and we will take pride in making sure your child grows and progresses.
Port Malabar Elementary is an incredibly unique place for your child to attend. We have several unique programs. We have an exceptional gifted program. We focus on multiple intelligences such as art, music, STEM, and the kids really shine. The teachers take such good care of the kids here. Honestly, safety is first, and after that, we just love your children so much.
When you walk in, you can feel it. There's love here, there's caring, we take good care of the kids, and they want to come back every day. We also have 5 teachers that are bilingual, so we're very proud of that. We try to have 1 per grade level. So if your student is struggling with English, we can accommodate them. Usted tiene un alumno que no habla todavía inglés, nosotros podemos ayudarlo y acomodarlo, porque podemos ponerlo en un salón donde la maestra habla español.
I like coming to school because the teachers care about me and like my own way. My favorite thing at Port Malabar is recess because it's the time where you make new friends and you get to spend time with them.
I feel like our teachers really do care about us, and they comfort us when we may be having a bad day or something's going on either at school or at home. It does feel really special when we're recognized for our hard work because of our Pelican Pride Awards. Prepared, respectful, improved, dependable, and enthusiastic. I've had a really fun time here at Port Malabar, and I totally recommend it.
Riviera is a very open school. We'll do almost anything for our students in order to make sure that they're successful. We do believe in that village mentality where it takes a full village to raise a child. The thing that excites me the most is we're not stagnant. Every year, our expectations here for our students expand and they get greater and greater.
What gets me excited about coming to work each day are the kids, seeing them learn. I enjoy greeting them in the morning, seeing their excitement for coming to school every day, and the positivity that they have, knowing that no matter what happens, we're here to support them and they're safe while they're here doing it. I'm really proud of the work that we've done at Riviera to make our core academics really strong, specifically in the areas of reading and math and science. I am very proud of the fact that we're all a tight-knit community and we're all working towards a common goal, which is for the students to be successful. We're full of instructors and staff that reflect, and so our number 1 goal is to make every day better than the day before.
For me and my team, we love seeing the progression that the students have. The light bulb going off is basically why we do what we do. We work hard with these students 5 days a week. So you're sitting with that student and those students working hard, and to see them progress, see them understand something, it makes it all worth it.
For someone new coming to Riviera, you can expect kind people and people that can help you. They don't just say the answer, they teach me how to get the answer. I like science because we get to do some experiments time to time. They provide kindness, respectfulness, and mostly fun.
I am a product of Brevard Public Schools. I've been with Brevard Public Schools for approximately 18 years. Southlake is an amazing school, and what makes it special is the collaboration between the teachers and the faculty.
Well, students have different learning styles, and part of what we do in the Smart Lab is that choice. If they're interested in 3D printing or video or building, engineering, and I think that giving students the opportunity to follow their passions in the Smart Lab helps with engagement, helps them find that success. As students decide on the careers that they want to do, what they learn here is really going to help.
I love the fact that we honor, respect, and take ownership in all the diversity and the differences and uniquenesses of all of our teachers, staff, and the students. Every aspect of Southlake is a teaching opportunity. Be ready to be enriched, get ready for the adventure of learning and not just having one teacher, but having 50 teachers. Not just having one friend, but having hundreds of friends.
In my opinion, I really liked PE and the Smart Lab. You do things in the computer and things with robots, and I really like it.
You can go into school and go like, oh, I wonder what is going to happen today, because there's just new things every day to try. For me, you can kind of like feel the friendliness about Southlake. You can wave at people and they'll wave back. Like you smile and they smile. I love Southlake because of stuff like that.
When I talk to fellow people and I say I'm at Sunrise, they say, oh, I've heard of that school. Oh, I know that school. It's always for really amazing things. We are making the kids more responsible for their learning now. We are all here for the children and just holding them up to, I think, higher expectations. Knowing that we will reach every child here on whatever level they need is why they should come to Sunrise.
Sunrise Elementary is a school community where it just radiates joy and love and a super passion for learning. Sunrise is well known for academic success and helping every student shine. Our teachers love what they do. They learn right along with the students, but they also collaborate with one another to plan and execute amazing, fun, and engaging lessons. And that's what I want for the future of Sunrise Elementary School. I want our little sea turtles that come here to be able to come, start when they're young, grow up in our school, and we want to be able to help them meet their full potential and help them shine as they become young adults in the world.
We came up with 3 standards that aligned with our core values, which is be safe, work hard, and be nice. And we run our day-to-day lives here at Sunrise that way. And we recognize students and staff and faculty that follow that mindset. You know, it's just a great guideline of what you should be doing at all times. Every teacher's classroom rules aligns with the Sunrise standards. You can ask any student and they'll tell you what the Sunrise standards are. We really work on having those kids take ownership of their behavior.
All the teachers care about all the students, and all the students like look up to the teachers. Everybody's very kind, everybody's very nice, and like it's just a great place to be.
All the teachers, they're wonderful. They don't treat the students differently. They treat all the students the same. They never treat you because of how smart you are. They treat you because of who you are.
We are a hidden gem. Where else can you walk outside and see a rocket launch? Deep traditions in this school, the spirit, the pride in this community is just unbelievable. You see it on this campus, you feel it as soon as you walk through the doors, and there's just so much pride in Titusville High School. You can't not love it. There's Academically, different pathways that we can lead our students. One is through the AP coursework or the more advanced coursework. We have the dual enrollment
to welcome all of my fellow board members and the public and call the September 9th, 2021 final public budget hearing and school board meeting to order. This is a business meeting of the board held in the public. As such, the board is authorized to adopt rules or policies to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in a public meeting. Please note that your presence here is subject to those rules and policies. Pursuant to Florida Statute 877.13, it is unlawful and a misdemeanor of the second degree, punishable by up to 60 days in jail and a $500 fine for any person to knowingly disrupt or interfere with the lawful administration or functions of any educational institution or school board, or knowingly to advise, counsel, or instruct any school pupil or school employee to disrupt any school or school board function or activity on school board property. To facilitate an amenable environment for all, please be aware of the following. Per our policy, masks are currently required at all times while indoors on school district property, unless a verified medical exemption has been provided. 2, if you must leave the building for any reason, you will not be permitted to re-enter. Your seat will be given to the next person waiting to enter. 3, the appropriate place for public participation in the meeting is during your individual public comment opportunity as identified in the agenda. Outside of your individual public comment opportunity, your role in the meeting is as an observer. 4, I will ask persons deemed to be knowingly or intentionally disrupting this meeting of the School Board of Brevard County or not complying with policy to stop or leave. If persons receiving the warning choose not to follow my instructions, I will instruct Brevard County Sheriff's deputies to take any law enforcement action they deem appropriate, and you may be escorted, detained, or arrested depending on the conduct. Persons who refuse to depart after a warning may also be committing the crime of trespassing, in accordance with Florida Statute Section 810.08. These statutes apply to conduct on all school board property, which includes this boardroom, as well as the outside of this building to the sidewalk. If you continue to cause a disruption, you are advised that you are in violation of Florida State Statute 877.13, or if you fail to leave the premises after being warned by the Sheriff's Office, you are committing trespass, and the board has authorized the Sheriff's Office to enforce these rules. In the event multiple individuals fail to adhere to these expectations and board business cannot continue due to disruption, I will call a recess and request that the law enforcement officers present clear the boardroom of attendees. When the room is cleared, the board will return and resume their meeting with no public present. Those who are signed up to speak will be seated under the front entry area and called in when it is your time to speak. Ms. Escobar, roll call, please.
Mrs. Belford?
Present.
Ms. McDougall? Present. Mrs. Jenkins?
Present.
Mr. Susan?
Present.
And Mrs. Campbell?
Present.
The board will now hold a moment of silent reflection in memory of BPS family members who recently passed away. Dana Mitchell, a before and after child care group leader from Imperial Estates. Clarice Jackson, a cafeteria cashier from Cambridge Elementary. Linda Jabkowitz, a cafeteria manager from Food and Nutrition Services. And Candace Verity, a Head Start advocate. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I would like to offer my fellow board members and Dr. Mullins the opportunity to recognize students, staff, or members of the community. Who'd like to start us off? Ms. McDougall?
I'm going to start by giving a huge shout out to the facilities department, especially a couple weeks ago, Coco had a blown transformer and they had to vacate this school got real hot, obviously, and the transformer wasn't a little one. They had to bring in a crane from Daytona, which meant our facilities team worked through the night to make sure the next day with Florida Power and Light to make sure that there was air conditioning. So my shout out is to, I hope I get everybody's name right, Kevin Batchelder, Mike Vilgatti, did I say that right? Did I say that right, Miss Tan? I don't know if I did. Ron Anderson, Sean Click, Greg Walsh, Larry Elmore, Jason Pitcher, Keith Stevenson, and Jim Ross. So a big shout out to them for working through the night to make sure the next day that our students and staff had air conditioning. So thank you very much for going above and beyond.
Thank you, Ms. McDougall. Ms. Campbell?
Thank you. So I just wanted to highlight a special recognition week that is coming up. September the 12th through the 18th is National Arts and Education Week. We have Arts and Education Month, which is in the spring, but National Arts and Education Week is next week. And I just applaud all of our arts teachers, which include our elementary music and strings teachers, our art teachers, which we have all the different kinds, drawing, ceramics. This is not your mama's art class, you know. We have digital arts as well, band, orchestra, choir, theater, music theater. My family has particularly been blessed to be a part of many of these programs, and I'm so thankful for all of our arts teachers across the district who do such a fantastic job and always represent our district well, and our students represent, under their tutelage, represent our district well in state competitions and national competitions as well. So thank you to all of our art speakers.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Benkin?
Yeah. Can I put myself on now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This Saturday, there are a lot of events going on around Brevard for 9/11, and I found one that I thought would be particularly interesting to participate in. I'm really looking forward to it. The Cocoa firefighters are doing a 9/11 memorial stair climb. And they're going to be climbing 2,071 steps, which equals the 110 floors of the World Trade Center. And it's going to be taking place at the Richard Blake Stadium. And you're still able to register if you want to participate. There's no time to complete it, and you don't have to complete it completely if you can't. But you can register at coco911stairclimb.com.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Mr. Susan?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I don't know if everybody out here follows sports or anything like that, but this weekend opened up college football, which reminded me, since you mentioned Coco, that we got a little bit of a bet coming.
They're number one.
Right? Who's number one?
Coco.
Yeah. Coco is an amazing program, and for those of you that don't know, Miss McDougall and I have a little running bet that when Rockledge plays Coco, we always have to, whoever wins has to wear whatever it is on the other outfit, right? So last year, I had to wear the Coco Tiger hat, which I think I still have a rash from, but we're going to be doing something else this year. That game is going to be Wednesday, November 3rd, and it's in my house this time. So I'll make sure you're taken care of and they don't harass you too much. But look, I think we got it this year. So,
Don't hold your breath.
yeah. And then I wanted to say thank you to Russell Broom. We were working on getting together, and the school board members were talking about it. We're going to start talking about our career and technical programs, and we're going to get into our schools and start showing those off. So Russell Broom and everybody are doing it. We're going to try to show our community what we have. Last year we did a couple of them, but so that everybody here knows, we have aviation, we have automotive, construction, and everything else. And while this is going on, we can't forget that these kids need to get to work. So just want to say thank you to Russell for working on setting that up, and we're going to get moving here in about a month and a half. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Susan. Dr. Mullen?
Thank you, Ms. Belford. I want to take the opportunity just to give my a shout out and my appreciation to several BPS staff members across several divisions here at ESF. Over the last few weeks, we've experienced absences at a higher rate than we anticipated, and with a lower rate of substitutes available, it required and called on folks here to go out to our schools and support our classrooms and our schools. And without any reservation or any hesitation, our staff jumped to response to support our schools, to keep our schools open, to meet the needs. Certainly Leading and Learning sent several staff out to our schools, student services, even operations, government, community relations, human resources, and so on. But even in our schools, administrators are going to help other schools in administrative capacities. Going down an administrator themselves at their school to help another school that's in need. Just a tremendous demonstration of dedication and a commitment to teamwork. And I just continue to be immensely proud of this organization and the work that we go to serve our kids and serve our schools. So thank you to our team.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. I know board members, we have talked quite a bit about the struggles that we've been having with getting testing for our faculty, our staff, and our students. And hopefully you all saw Ms. Moore's email that went out this week that we are going to have some of those home test kits that we will have in our schools and at facilities here for symptomatic individuals to be able to test at home, alleviating some of that challenge. And so I just want to give a shout out to all the folks that are coordinating that. Obviously, as you can imagine, distributing throughout the district is not easy all the time, right? Making sure that we have everybody covered. So just super excited that we're going to have that opportunity for our students and our staff and our faculty to be able to get back to loving learning as soon as possible. And then I also want to give a shout out to many of our schools have transitioned and already taken part in the virtual open houses since we gave the direction that we didn't want large groups of people around. Had the opportunity to participate in one of them last night. And, you know, if there's anything that I can say that has come out of this challenge of the last 18, 19 months, it's that our folks have gotten incredibly creative about the way that we work. And they just did a phenomenal job on the open house last night, and great information. And the nice thing is it's there that we can go back to anytime and view it again. So really a bonus there. So thanks to everyone who is working so hard to work around and over the challenges that we've been facing. All right, that is going to bring us to the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Mullins?
Ms. Belford and members on the board, on this evening's agenda, we have the final budget hearing, which includes the superintendent's presentation, public hearings, and recommendations. On the regular school board meeting, we have administrative staff recommendations, 16 consent items, 2 action items, and 1 information item. Changes made to the agenda since it was first released to the public on Tuesday, August 18, 2021 are as follows. Items A16 on its administrative staff recommendations, F22 on instructional staff recommendations, F23 on support staff recommendations, F18 on meeting minutes, and F26 on Code of Student Conduct all receive revision. Attachments were added to items A7 on superintendent's presentation, final public budget hearing, A12 on adopt the 2021-2022 budget, and F21 on annual financial reports for fiscal year 2020-21.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
No, really, I don't, it's not, I don't know. Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't-
not just you.
Okay.
I read.
Refresh.
You want a voice vote? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, it's saying that
Or present, yeah, it says we're
Yeah.
not here.
Did you get that, Pam? Maybe it's just figurative? All right. All right, we will proceed with the second and final public hearing for the 2021-2022 proposed millage rates and tentative budget. The hearing of September 9, 2021 is now in session. I feel like I might have All right, now we will move into the presentation portion of this hearing. Ms. Cindy Lisinski, Chief Financial Officer, will make a presentation on the proposed 2021-2022 budget and millage levy. Ms. Lisinski.
Good evening, Madam members, Dr. Mullins. This is the second and final budget hearing. This slide depicts the agenda for this evening. So I'm going to start off with the truth in millage. So the truth in millage legislation requirements are detailed under Florida statutes. Trim timelines are very prescriptive in law, and the clock started on July 1st. The total timeline to budget adoption is 80 days. The statute dictates the order of business during the budget hearings, and trim requires 2 public hearings for open discussion of the millage rates and the proposed budget. So millage is a term that represents the tax rate levied on real estate or other property. 1 mill is equivalent to $1 in taxes per $1,000 in taxable value. If your home has a taxable value of $100,000 and you're assessed a mill tax rate, you would pay $100. The Florida Education Finance Program, or FEFP, is the centerpiece for financing Florida school districts' operating costs. Funding for FEFP combines state funds, primarily generated from sales tax revenue, and local funds generated from property tax revenue. Our balance here in Brevard is approximately 65-35%. So 65% of our funding comes from the state, 35% comes from our taxes on our property. Required local effort is the local amount of funds the district receives from levying the state certified local millage rate on the district's taxable property. And it's key to understand that the Florida legislature sets this rate. So the Florida legislature sets the required local effort millage rate. And the school board must levy this RLE effort millage rate in order to receive any state funding under the Florida Education Finance Program. So in order to get the 60% of the funds, we have to make sure that we levy the RLE in order to get the funding for our school district. The proposed required local effort, which is set again by the legislature, is 3.602. The legislature establishes maximums for the basic discretionary operating and the capital outlay millage rate. The total proposed millage related to school funding for 2001-2002 school year is 5.850 mils. This millage will generate revenue for the general operating and capital outlay funds.
Ms. Lisinski, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? I apologize. I just want to remind our audience that you are required to have masks while in the boardroom. So please make sure that your masks are on and you're wearing them appropriately. If you are not going to be wearing them in the boardroom, then we would ask that you leave. Okay? Ms. Lisinski?
Sure. So maintaining these millage rates at the same level as in 2021 allows the district to continue our work to serve every student with excellence. And then here you can see how the funding comes in the different areas. So the required local effort is required again in order to participate in the Florida Education Finance Program. So if we want to fund our district, we must levy that tax, and we'll receive approximately 178.9 million in local tax proceeds. And then we have the full basic discretionary millage, which will garner about $37.2 million in operating costs. And in addition to that, since when we levy the 7.48 millage rate, we end up not being, we end up being below the state average. So because of that, we're able to generate an additional $7,360,000. And then the local capital improvement millage, or LCI, will provide the district $74.5 million. 37.6 comes off the top to pay district's debt service, which covers principal and interest payments for previously bonded debt that was issued primarily between the years 1996 through 2008 in order to build schools and provide major renovations. LCI contributes $10.3 million towards maintenance costs for labor. LCI also pays for the district's property insurance, which leaves $21.1 million for capital needs projects throughout the district. So this slide depicts the historic millage rates over the last 10 years. Since FY13, the required local effort millage rates have declined each year as our property values have increased in the county. This has been the trend because of the healthy growth of statewide property values each year since the Great Recession. Lawmakers reduced the RLE millage rate to limit the revenue generated from this source. This is a conscious effort to reduce the tax burden on homeowners. As required by TRIM, we must compare the proposed millage rate to the rollback rate. The rollback rate is the millage rate that would generate the same amount of revenue as last year if applied to the current year's adjusted taxable value. Said another way, the state rolls back the rate as property values increase to bring the total dollars available roughly equivalent to the prior year. Under TRIM, the rollback rate is the benchmark for determining if tax rates have increased or decreased. The rollback rate is generally less than the proposed tentative rate. When the rollback rate is less than the proposed millage rate that we receive from the state, we must advertise a tax increase. So the certified school property values is a large component of how education is funded in the state of Florida. FY 2009 was the highest annual tax roll prior to the Great Recession. Property values have increased each year since 2013. And if you look down here, you'll see the 2021 values is what was recently certified by the property appraiser, and the 21-22 values are the latest state projections for next year. And this projection actually doubled since March, when the Office of Economic and Demographic Research put out their projections. And, you know, it's amazing to me that our tax roll during such an uncertain time has increased over $3 billion. This is mainly due to high demand for homes driven by low interest rates and growth. This slide illustrates the changes in school-related property taxes for a homeowner over several years. In this example, a home valued at $200,000 in 2016 would have generated roughly $1,210 in school-related property tax. If the owner qualified for Save Our Homes by a 2021-22 school year, the assessed value of the same home would be $220,000. Based on that valuation, the school-related property tax would be about $1,142. This is an increase of 9 cents from 2020 tax year. And so, what does this mean? The average family will pay about $1,000 in property taxes on a home assessed at $200,000. And what that means to the schools in the district is $2.80 a day. And then the $2.80 per day pays for teachers, school counselors, buses, electricity, fuel, lab equipment, laptops, just everything that we need. Was that $2.80 a day. And so now we're here at the 21-22 proposed tentative budget. Both the operating and the capital budgets are balanced. A year ago, we faced much uncertainty about the economy, how long the length and the severity of the pandemic in the country, or in the county, in the state, in the nation, and globally. The board made difficult decisions and made budget reductions in anticipation of budget reduction of $16 million due to enrollment decline and additional cuts to cover rising FRS and healthcare costs. That said, it could have been worse. The district was fortunate to be held harmless in school year 21. As a result, we were able to capture approximately $8.9 million in one-time savings from FY21 classroom savings that we were able to balance our FY22 budget. Although using one-time savings is not ideal, it is consistent with how we utilized our ARA funds during the Great Recession. We still have uncertainty around enrollment and will continue to monitor and make necessary adjustments in order to minimize our dependence on one-time dollars, while at the same time ensure we have resources available to meet the needs of every student. This slide kind of lays out or breaks it out a little bit further, and it starts with the fund balance as of July 1st. It shows our revenues, our expenditures, transfers in, transfers out, and projected fund balance for June 30th. And again, I know I say this every meeting, a budget is a plan based on estimated revenue and expenditures. It is not money in the bank. It is a starting point. Lost revenue like enrollment decline, increased expenses, and/or emerging requirements impact the bottom line. No plan survives for first contact. The key is to build branches and sequels as we closely monitor the execution of our budget. And then the total tentative budget is $1,281,988,000. Do I got that right? 698. And then the next step is a notification of the final millage and budget. Are there any questions?
Any board members have questions for Ms. Lisinski on the presentation? Ms. Campbell?
I just had a quick comment. Comment and a thank you. I was trying to find the place and I couldn't find where you guys had talked about. I think it's in the section on the special revenue. Yep, there it is. That talks about our ESSER dollars. And first of all, I want to thank you. I know we're going to be approving it later, our annual financial report. I just appreciate that you guys put all that in its own section, because I think that helps for us to see the federal dollars that have come in, COVID relief. It also helps the public to be able to see it. And I just wanted, and I can see it in the budget as well, even though we haven't received the next set of dollars, but I would encourage the public to take a look at the annual financial report for last year, as well as my fellow federal board members, starting on page 9 through I think about page 15. It lists the income we have received. There was some question back in the spring in the legislature about school districts who hadn't used their CARES Act dollars because they were looking at old data that showed this is how much you've gotten in. But I just wanted to highlight that for the first round of money that we received last year, which was not counting the gear money, but the ESSER number one from the CARES Act was $17 million. And out of that, as of June 30th, there was only $1.8 million left of that to be expended, which at this point, a lot of that could actually be expended. So, and then there's a page that I think the public needs to see in the board on page 12 of the annual financial report that lists ESSER 2, which was passed by the US Congress in December of last year, and we still haven't received those dollars, and it makes planning very difficult. And so I appreciate the work that you guys are doing and our staff to try to cash flow that. I see that we've made some expenditures, but we're still waiting on that. So if you have any updates, I'd love to hear them, but I've not put anybody on the spot on that. But I just think it's important for us to continue to remember and the public to understand that those dollars were passed. They've already been set aside. We're still waiting through the state process. I know Brevard Public Schools has issued our county plan to use those dollars, but they're not here yet. But it also is a good, because I continue to get questions about what did you guys spend the money on? This is a good place to start. And what is our plan to use it moving forward? That is all in here in the budget. So thank you guys for putting that in there. Like I said, not really a question, but I just appreciate it. And I want to make sure that the public is aware that we're still waiting on the second round money. And of course, the American Rescue Plan was passed in the spring, and we really have no idea when those dollars are going to come, which could be really beneficial to our district as we continue to fight the challenges of the pandemic as far as technology and student support, catching kids up who have missed so much school, buying PPE and all of that, and then just trying to get out of this over the next few years. And so just the public needs to be aware of that. And I want to highlight it as often as we can until we have the advantage of those dollars to actually use. So thank you guys for your work to do. And if you wanted to add anything, jump right in, but mainly it was a thank you.
Well, actually, some good news. There is some movement.
Yay.
And of the 4 areas, the academic acceleration, we received those funds. So that was 10.8 million. And we also received the non-enrollment assistance fund. We're still waiting on the lump sum, which is the big amount, the 38.65 million. And the good news is the state has called. They only had one question. So I think that should be moving.
Can you give me the academic assistance was 10 million?
10.8.
Okay, and then what was the other bucket?
Non-enrollment assistance, 2.177.
Okay.
We're still waiting on the tech assistance, 2.7 million. And then the lump sum, we're still waiting on.
All right, thank you so much. That is good news.
We have not heard anything about ESSER number 3 yet, or our American Rescue Plan funds. So we are still waiting to get direction from the state on those funds.
But the state did reach out and ask a couple questions, but we haven't received.
And Dr. Mullins, did you indicate that the state has not yet submitted to the federal government their plan on ESSER 3?
That was my last understanding, yes. As of last communication, the state had not received approval from the federal government for their version of application for ESSER number 3. So yet I do know that not only other states have received the funds and distributed them to districts, but particularly school districts have received the funds and started utilizing them in their districts in other states, not in Florida.
It is my understanding from something I read this last week that the state has received about 2/3 of that money. We just don't have the other third which is waiting on the application. I don't know if
that's true.
Okay.
But that's not to suggest districts have received
Right.
2/3.
No,
The state has received 2/3 of ESSER number 3. We've not received the first release of what is called, just left me, invitation. What is it? Yes, RFA, request
For application.
for application. Thank you. It's having a brain block there. Thank you.
Yes. And anything else from Ms. Lisinski? Okay. We are going to move on to, let's see, The hearing is now open for public comments. We will, in accordance with Florida law, accept the speakers in the following order: the 2021-2022 proposed millage levy, followed by the 2021-2022 tentative budget. Is there any individual that would like to address the board on the 2021-2022 proposed millage levy? Yes, you can. If you, hold on, if you could, Ms. Lisinski, we have one, if you could free the mic.
You mentioned that we could, you encouraged the public to look at this, or someone did, maybe Katie? And I just was wondering where we would find that information.
So if you can go ahead and take a seat, if that was the, and we will address that. Typically, we don't address questions during the public comment, but I will get to it when we wrap up, okay? Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on the 2021-2022 proposed millage levy? Is there any individual that would like to address the board on the 2021-2022 proposed millage levy? Is there any individual that would like to address the board on the 2021-2022 tentative budget? Is there any individual that would like to address the board on the 2021-2022 tentative budget? The public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Ms. Lisinski, would you like to address where our public can access this information?
I'm sorry?
Would you like to address where our public can access this information?
I'm sorry, the AFR and the budget document are both attached to tonight's agenda. So if you go to the school board webpage and go down through the agenda, you will find both attached. Okay, you can download them electronically.
Thank you. All right, that is going to bring us to recommendations for the adoption of the 2021-2022 proposed millage levy and tentative budget. Ms. Lisinski?
Florida statute 200.065 requires each taxing authority levying millage to publicly state the name of the taxing authority, the rollback rates, the percentage of change from the rollback rate, and the millage rate to be levied prior to the adoption of the millage levy resolution. In compliance with those requirements, the following need to be stated. The taxing authority is the School Board of Brevard County, Florida. Required local effort, 3.5600. Okay, the 2021-22 rollback rates are the required local effort of 3.5600. Local discretionary is 0.7209. Capital outlay is 1.4456. Total rollback rate is 5.7265. The total millage rate to be levied exceeds the total rollback rate by 2.16%. The proposed 2021-22 millage rates are required local effort, 3.602, local discretionary, 0.748, capital outlay, 1.500. Total millage rate, 5.850. There are a total of 5 separate motions. I will read each of these recommendations into the record and request board action. A, adopt the resolution setting the required local effort, local discretionary, and capital outlay millage rate of 5.850 mils for 2021 and 22. The written resolution is incorporated into the motion by reference.
What are the wishes of the board?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? We need a voice vote, Ms. Escobar. And the motion passes 5-0. Ms. Lisinski?
B, adopt the 2021-22 budget in the following amounts. Operating, $647,856,346. Special revenue, $200,401,712. Debt service, $38,034,923. Capital outlay, $304,639,848. Enterprise, $2,214,044. Subtotal, $1,193,146,873. Less transfers, $67,177,914. Total, $1,125,968,959. Internal service, $88,841,825.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? The motion passes 5-0. Ms. Lisinski?
C, authorize the superintendent to adjust the adopted millage levy and budget due to changes in the certified tax roll.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. The motion passes 5-0. Ms. Lisinski?
D, authorize the superintendent to forward the adopted millage levy resolution to the Brevard County property appraiser and tax collector no later than 30 days following the adjournment of the value adjustment board.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Moved by, was that Ms. Finken? Second. And seconded by Ms. McDougall. Any discussion? Please vote. The motion passes 5-0. Ms. Lisinski?
E, authorize the superintendent to forward the following to the designated state agency. The adopted budget, millage levy resolution, certified tax roll, rolled back rates, proposed millage, and certified copies of the advertisement for the proposed budget and millage rate to the State Department of Education. 2, the millage levy resolution, certified tax roll, rolled back rates, proposed millage, and certified copies of the advertisement for the proposed budget and millage rate to the Department of Revenue.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. The motion passes 5-0. This hearing is now adjourned. Thank you, Ms. Lisinski and team. We appreciate you being here. All right, Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the administrative staff recommendations this evening?
Yes, Ms. Belford and members of the board, this evening you'll be asked to approve the reclassification and transfer of first, Christina Donahue from the position of Assistant Principal at Andrew Jackson Middle School to the position of 10-month Assistant Principal at O'Galley High School effective September 10th. Second, the reclassification of Alicia Lenderman from the position of Title I teacher at Endeavor Elementary to the position of interim assistant principal at Endeavor Elementary effective September 10th. And third, the reclassification and transfer of Mrs. Christina Carver from the position of 10-month assistant principal at Endeavor Elementary to the position of principal at Gemini Elementary School.
What are the wishes of the board? Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Is there any discussion? Please vote when you're able. Yeah, it just seems to be moving a little bit slow. It's all good. We're getting there. Got it. Motion passes 5-0.
Mrs. Belford, if I may, just give my congratulations to our three most recent administrative appointees, Ms. Donahue, Ms. Lenderman, Ms. Carver. Congratulations. I know you're out there. You wanted to make sure it was actually official. So you are ready to start tomorrow. Congratulations, and thank you for your continued leadership in our community and in our schools to care for and help educate the children of Brevard County.
Well said, Dr. Mullins. Thank you. All right, folks, we are now at public comments. We have 23 speakers signed up to speak this evening. We have only one speaker on an agenda item. It's my recommendation that we hear only speakers who've signed up to specifically address the business items on the agenda during this portion of the meeting and hear the remaining speakers following the conclusion of board business. Does anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to support the people who are on the agenda and then, forgot. I make a motion that we go ahead and support the people who are speaking towards the agenda at this point and move everyone else to the end of our meeting before we close.
Do I have a second? So I have a motion by Ms. McDougall and a second by Mr. Susan. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, so our first speaker is Matthew Dolly. Matthew, if you would please approach as I am reading the instructions. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you will be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. Always keep in mind that reasonable decorum is expected at all times, and your statement should be directed to the board chair. The chair may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when time is up. It's personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Should an individual not observe proper etiquette, the chairman may request the individual leave the meeting. Let's all encourage an environment appropriate for our children who may be present or watching from home. Mr. Dolly, give me 1 second.
Before you start the timer, I don't want to speak on agenda item. I just thought you had to put something down, so I just picked a letter and wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to recycle back to being the 11th speaker. I don't want to cut line. It's kind of not fair.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, that's going to move us into the consent agenda. Dr. Mullins.
There are 16 agenda items under this category.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. Does any board member wish to pull any item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. The motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins, will you please let us know about the items under action?
There are 2 items under this category. The first one is G34 on procurement solicitations.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Any discussion? Please vote. All right, Ms. Escobar indicates we need a voice vote. All board members in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Dr. Mullins,
Item G35 is on department school initiated agreements.
do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Mr. Susan, seconded by Ms. McDougall. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we will move on to the information agenda, which includes items for board review and may be brought back for action at a subsequent meeting. No action will be taken on these items tonight. Dr. Mullins,
There is 1 item under the information category.
does any member wish to discuss this information item? All right, we will now hear the remaining speakers who signed up to comment on non-agenda items. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We have a clock in front of me to help you keep track of your time. When your time is over, you will be asked to stop and allow the next speaker his or her turn. We'll hear from the speakers in the order in which they signed up, including those who may be waiting outside. As stated earlier, reasonable decorum is expected at all times, and your statement should be directed to the board chair. Should audience participation interfere with speakers being heard or hearing me, I will be forced to clear the room. When I call your name, please line up along the east wall of the boardroom to facilitate the smooth transition of speakers. Let's begin with our first 3 speakers. Scott Seville, Matt Wojciechowski, Jameson Ludwa. Scott, whenever you're ready, feel free to approach.
Thank you. It's a pleasure getting to listen to this on the agenda items that you have that are not COVID related. You guys do a great job. You really do, all of you. I do want to talk a little bit about the COVID. Last time I was here, I talked about how my sister had passed from it, and best friend in the world. She was an awesome person. Anyway, her daughter lives in San Francisco, and she kept telling me, we really are diligent about masks out here. We're really diligent about getting the COVID vaccines. And I thought, well, I'm going to just run, because this is a real life scenario. I'm going to run the numbers and see what they look like. San Francisco was 73% vaccinated. Brevard County is 55%. I like San Francisco because its population is 875,000 and Brevard is 615,000. So San Francisco county has 42% more people. The number of cases in San Francisco County are 50,000. This was as of about a week ago. Anybody can look this up. In Brevard County was 72,000. So San Francisco, although it has a 42% higher population, they have 31% less, or 22,000 less cases. And then I thought, well, what are the deaths? The deaths in San Francisco so far have been 589. In Brevard County, 914. So 36% less. I think that this is a great comparison because they are 42% larger than us, yet they are between 30% cases less and 36% deaths less. That's another 300 deaths that, maybe we could have done something about. So I just think this is a good real life explanation, and let's continue to save lives. And I applaud the efforts of everyone here and understand that even the people on opposing sides care about their children and care about their family members. And so let's save some lives.
Thank you, Scott. Matt?
Well, thank you for your service. I do appreciate it. My name is Matt Wojciechowski, registered Republican. I have a doctorate in engineering, and I'm a registered professional engineer in 3 states. That makes me an expert
Hey,
witness in a
Matt,
court.
can you just move that mic a little bit closer to you? I'm sorry.
How about
Yeah.
right here? Will that work?
Perfect. Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm a registered professional engineer in 3 states, which makes me a person that can testify in a court of law as an expert. And myself and my fellow professional engineers take that very seriously. It's a great burden to do that, and it's difficult. I have 15 issued utility patents. These are real inventions. They are not the same patents that you hear about on the Home Shopping Network. I've also worked in filtration for a number of years, and I want to talk to you about filters. First of all, there is a screen filter. This is the kind of filter that you use in your screen door, and it allows things to be stopped that are bigger than the mesh and things to go through that are smaller than the mesh. Another type of filter is a depth filter. They use a tortuous path to trap particles, and they rely on thickness of material. These are the type of filters that you use in your car, in your furnace, and COVID masks. To give you an example, a COVID mask rating is approximately 0.1 microns. That's 1/10 of a millionth of a meter. The particles that it traps, or the COVID virus, is approximately 0.125 microns, which is about 25% larger than the tortuous path of the filter that you have on right now. So you are protected by these type of masks in your house, in your car, and walking around. As far as the school system precedent goes for protecting the unprotected, I'll cite an example from my high school days. Initially, we had smoking lounges in our high school. When the relationship of cancer to smoking was developed, the faculty of that high school took out the smoking lounges. Didn't want the kids to smoke anymore. So they were protecting the unprotected. They believed it was their duty and acted positively. Part of the sworn responsibility you have are to protect our children. I'd like you to do that. Any questions?
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you joining us. As Jameson is approaching, the next 3 speakers after will be Reese Ludwa, Cheryl Wojciechowski, and Katie Delaney.
Hi, my name is Jameson. I'm in 2nd grade. I think masks are important. Last time when only 1 out of 4 people voted for masks, I was very unhappy. And now 3 people voted for masks. I would like to make the votes 5-0 for masks. I'd like everybody to please listen to the mask rule and wear a mask correctly when inside. I would feel much safer if I saw everyone listening to the teachers and wearing their masks. Thank you for those of you who voted for masks for trying to keep us safe and healthy.
Thank you, Jameson. Reese?
Hi, my name is Reese. I'm 9 years old in the 4th grade in Brevard Public Schools. I wanted to say thank you for making us safe, for giving us masks back to us. Everyone is very stressed about everything about the masking in Brevard Public Schools. I think masks should be continued. This virus creates things that should not be in our everyday lives. Infections are rising every day, and that is because everyone isn't wearing masks. I was really worried about it when everyone wasn't wearing masks, but now I feel much safer with everyone wearing masks. The Delta variant is very dangerous and 2 times more contagious. There are over 3 million cases in Florida, and many have been children. The schools are full of children that could get infected, and that can have serious consequences. Masks are vital to everyone's health. If we wear them, then this COVID pandemic will cease. This pandemic is very dangerous, but if we all work together, wear masks, social distance, and sanitize, then this pandemic can stop and everyone can rejoice with friends and family. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Reese. Cheryl?
Hi, my name is Dr. Cheryl Wojciechowski. I'm mom of 2 kids who attend school in Brevard County. Members of the school board, thank you for reinstating masks. I know it was a difficult decision. For some board members, I know it wasn't your initial choice, but when it happened, you respected it and complied with the regulation. Thank you for that. I think this is a wonderful example for our children. I can tell you now that I have a little boy and a little girl who are much less afraid to go to school. I'm still nervous sending them, of course. And I know the homeschool option is there, but my two kids need to be with their friends and teachers. They learn better that way. And now it's much less of a risk to their health. For the past 15 years, under 4 presidents, I've worked as a scientist for the State Department and the United States Agency for International Development. Part of my job, I negotiate with Arab and Israeli scientists and help them work together, comply with US regulations, international research regulations. Unfortunately, the attentions that I've experienced in this room before and after these meetings are much more stressful than any interaction I've ever felt between Arab and Israeli scientists. I myself have let this tension get under my skin, and I apologize for that. I have a proposition. Members of the school board, I don't think you want to see this tension between your constituents. I'd like to extend an invitation to you and your constituents to write ffss.brevard@gmail.com. I would like to have a calm, short, virtual conversation to see if we can agree on ground rules and establish a respectable decorum from here on out. We won't agree on some things, but I know that we all love our kids and want to show them the best example of how adults behave when they disagree. With good intentions only, please, ffss.brevard@gmail.com. Thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you. As Katie is approaching, our next 3 speakers will be Chris Paganoni, Danielle McDonough, and Joey Liwa. Katie?
Members of the board, your COVID mitigations are failing students of Brevard County. I am speaking tonight for a local healthcare worker that cannot be here today. She has done all the things you've asked of her. Her daughter is vaccinated. She wore a mask even before, even when it wasn't illegally being mandated. Yet, she was forced to quarantine, even though she was well past the threshold of the 2-week policy. During that time, since there was no e-learning and no work was sent home, her straight A student got marked with multiple zeros for participation grades while under a forced quarantine, resulting in 2 Fs. Again, this child is vaccinated and she wore a mask. Your policy and failure to implement or maintain it has yet again failed another child. You all should be ashamed. The mother is still fighting with the school to make it right. That brings me to my next topic, the achievement gap. Here we are on month 2, and we still have members of the board focusing more on COVID mitigations that don't work instead of their bigger failure, the widening achievement gap. I have sent many of you multiple emails, phone calls, voicemails about the achievement gap, never getting a response. Is it that you don't care? If you did, you would return an email, or you would make some kind of effort outside of claiming that it's the fault of teachers' unknown bias. Now, I would like to put on public record that our COVID numbers in the schools have been continuously going down according to your dashboard over the past 3 weeks. And I want to point out that that was prior to the mask mandate coming into effect, which was just Tuesday. In conclusion, many times in the student code of conduct that is on tonight's agenda, it speaks of respect for one another. It speaks of privacy, anti-bullying, and so on and so forth. Yet when multiple reports of students being refused entry to the school, bullying by administration, and food being refused, BPS did not stand by their students. Instead, they insinuated that they were lying. You three should be ashamed.
Katie, have a great day. Chris?
Hi there. My name is Christopher Paganoni. I am actually here to talk about data and information. One of the things that I've had a problem with is getting actual data from the school board and from the county regarding the number of cases per school. And I keep hearing the word PII being used. I am a professional certified systems engineer. I hold the CISSP. My number is 579277. That makes me an expert witness in information protection. So let's talk about the PII issue. Under the NIST SP 800-122, that is the actual document number. The name is for the Guide for Protection of PII. It clearly delineates that there's only 2 ways to get to identifying a student or a person by information. Those 2 ways are either by direct method or through indirect. Releasing, according to the Department of Education's Student Privacy Policy Office on their memo March 2020, they were asked directly, can you release the number of cases per school? And they said generally yes. It is not an issue of PII, according to them. It's clearly delineated that a reasonable person, if they cannot arrive at the identity of the individual, then you have no PII condition. PII, by definition, is when its distinguishing identity is your name, social security number, date of birth, place of birth, your parents' identification. Indirect or linkable information is known for weight, sex, age, very specific information. The key here is that when you say, I had a student out of school for COVID in this specific school, if you're not releasing how many other students are out that day for other causes, you have nothing to go with. There is no PII there. It would not hold up in a court of law. And that is my professional opinion. So I would like to ask the board to please give us the PII numbers by day, or as often as you report them. I don't care whether it's by day, every 3 days, every 5 days, or every 7 days. But it can be by school, because that tells us what's happening in the school. And it also will help you guys see, specifically, if you have a school that's going out of control, you can tactically affect it. Instead of sitting here and blanket and say, we've got 500 students across the county that are sick. I'd like to know if 300 of those students were in one school, or are they spread in large numbers, where you have other schools that are at 0. You can also parse this information from how many students you're quarantining, so not really getting anything from your PII. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Danielle?
Hi there, I'm Danielle McDonough, Dr. McDonough. I'm a nurse practitioner. As you guys know, you've heard me speak before. I want to say thank you for bringing masks back into the school. My children all say thank you. I'd like to just say that I think it's really evident in this week's dashboard by the fact that kids started wearing masks in school immediately after the mandate was put into effect. My daughter's class of 24 students in 5th grade at Meadow Lane, an interior classroom, had 100% compliance. Her teacher was already wearing a mask. Sadly, students had already been in the classroom with COVID, and a large number of kids ended up quarantined by the end of the week. But fortunately, they're all going back to school now. But I think looking at the dashboard of a Monday a week prior, I think there was over 500 cases, compared to this week where there was just a little more over 100 cases. I think it's purely evident that masks work. We can't continue to have this battle every 2 weeks. We can't continue to have this battle every month. You guys teach math and you teach science. You teach the kids statistics in high school. If you're going to teach the subjects, then we should be teaching the kids that we understand how to utilize this information. We should follow the science and we should follow the math. It's real data. It's not made up. The people in the hospital are not imaginary. they're real, they're human beings, they're related to somebody who lives in our community. When somebody says that their family member died, we should have empathy for that. We shouldn't say, people die. Sadly, that's what I'm hearing in our community, and it needs to end. So we need to set an example as a community and say that we understand the science, and we're going to follow the science, and we're going to wear masks in school where kids aren't vaccinated. When you want to lift the mask mandate, my 11-year-old child's not old enough for a vaccine, but we vaccinate against chickenpox because chickenpox causes a loss of learning days. So why would we not wear masks to protect against loss of learning days? We need to keep the kids in school, and we need to keep them healthy and safe. So we need to make a plan going forward. At what point is it safe to remove the mask mandate? At what point would you have to reinstate the mask mandate? At what point is the vaccination level in the community sufficient enough? That is a plan that the board should be working on going forward, so we don't have to come back to this conversation at every meeting. I thank you for your time. I thank you for everything you're doing. Have a good night.
Thanks, Danielle. As Joey's approaching, our next three speakers will be Sarah Chiavaro, Matthew Dolly, and then Heather Peterson. Joey?
First, I want to say thank you to the two board members who had the courage to vote no on the mask mandate. We will not forget should you decide to run for re-election. At the emergency meeting, one of the board members volunteered her political party affiliation as Democrat and then stated that her decision was not political. But the only explanation I could come up with as to why you would vote for a mandate when the facts and data contradict that decision would be that it's political. So when I look to political reasons as to why somebody would make a decision to mask an innocent child and put that unnecessary responsibility and burden onto them, I came across a study at Dartmouth University that determined that the liberal media negatively skewed over 90% of their stories to exaggerate the fear of the COVID pandemic, regardless of what the data and the science were saying at the time. And in the words of the CNN producer caught on hidden tape by Project Veritas, fear sells. Then I found a Gallup survey that interviewed Democrats and Republicans to determine their understanding of the harms of COVID. The data shows that chances of being hospitalized as you get COVID is somewhere between 1 to 5%, which means that between 1 and 5 people out of 100 who get COVID could end up in the hospital. But 41% of Democrats surveyed believe that 50%, that's 1 out of every 2 people who get COVID, go to the hospital. And another 28% of Democrats believe that 20 to 49% of people who get COVID will be in the hospital. So almost 70% of Democrats surveyed believe that 1 out of every 5 people who get COVID end up in the hospital. The next study was my absolute favorite. It found that white liberals are more prone to mental health disorders than individuals who identify as conservatives or moderate. 62% of white who classify themselves as very liberal or liberal have been told by a doctor they have a mental health condition, as compared to only 26% of conservatives. They found that reasoning was behind this was that the constant misinformation from liberal media, which they referred to as panic porn, creates unwarranted fear and stress. So if you are angry like I am and confused as to why we cannot get through to certain board members using facts, scientific data, and critical thinking, the data shows there's a high possibility you are trying to reason with a highly misinformed individual who might have a mental disorder who cannot make rational decisions because they are driven by one thing, and that is fear. Which explains why one of our board members sat in a plastic box for almost a year last year, and while they were 6 feet apart from each other, probably vaccinated and wore masks the entire time. So the problem that we really have here is a virus of the mind, and I have a suggestion to fix this problem, which is to the one board member who's so concerned about racial equity and inclusion as I stare up at a board with 0 racial diversity. I think it's time for her to lead by example, acknowledge her white privilege, put her money where her mouth is, and step down as a board member to allow her position to be filled by a person of color. We wouldn't want any racist hypocrites on the board now, would we? And since I still have 6 seconds, all 3 of my kids got COVID. They had a fever for a day and coughed like 3 times.
Stop. We're not clapping. Sarah?
Good evening. I'm Sarah. I'm a Brevard County resident, taxpayer, registered voter, stakeholder, and I'm a mom of 2 children in BPS. The COVID-19 BPS dashboard shows numbers going down, and that is a wonderful thing. I don't want anyone to get sick, and I've helped people get connected with medical professionals and treatments that worked well, incredibly well. My family and I continue to pray for those who are sick to get well. Unfortunately, this illegal mask mandate isn't about science, health, or safety, but about money, power, and control. I based that statement on the panel of one-sided experts you brought in, saying that no matter if there's a mask mandate in place or not, there's going to be community spread. You didn't listen to them by not keeping mask wearing a parental choice. This is a passionate issue, but the focus needs to be getting back to education. How we do that is keeping masks a parental choice. You didn't get voted in based on emotion, but to make choices based on fact and the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen. This is a legal issue. You created a big legal mess for the BPS system instead of allowing the judicial system to play out and being guided by the laws you are held to. Since 3 board members moved forward with this unprecedented, unlawful vote to enact an illegal mandate for the BPS district, then those members who supported this deliberate attack against a functioning and reputable school system must be held accountable. I, as well as many others, feel you have broken your corporate fiduciary responsibility that undermines the efficacy of the entire school system. 3 board members chose to put our children in this illegal, unstable situation, not the parents. This illegal, unstable situation is taking a mental health toll on our children and families, with 4 weeks into the school year, now facing difficult choices and leaving hundreds of families scrambling, confused, and in a legal back and forth. With our children in the middle and taking the brunt of it. Those on the board who choose to vote and supported a board-wide vote on an illegal mask mandate have created an environment with this that questions your ability to act independently as a board member. And I request you do the right thing and undo this policy immediately. I am not challenging your authority to vote. I have lost faith in your ability to make a lawful and independent decision. The illegality of enacting this policy and the downfall of it was well laid out by your vice chair. Independently and as a board, you need to let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you are unable to make a decision and stick with it, it is feckless and untrustworthy leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Dolly.
Hello, my name is Matthew. Thank you for having me. Village idiot. So the first thing I want to talk about to the public, if you're a member of the public and you engage and act or believe in using any kind of intimidation, whether it be through verbal or physical actions or destruction of property, I'm going to say this publicly now. You are not on my side. I do not care what political alignment you have. I do not agree with such actions, and I never will stand beside you or behind you with that kind of demeanor. Furthermore, to speak to the public from some of the stuff I've heard tonight, I might agree with some discontent or some, feelings. The 5, 6 people that sit in front of you at this school board are not mentally ill. As a matter of fact, they are highly intelligent. And if you think of them as mentally ill, you're going to lose. These are very smart people that sit in front of you. That being said, the choice that they made to mandate the mask was 100% a political choice. They were smart enough to wait till a judge's decision was made that made the legality of this gray so they could get their foot in the door and wait. They are not stupid, they are smart. That being said, I am disappointed in the board to allow politics to come involved into a decision like this. I have spoken in front of you a handful of times, and every time I have darn near begged of you. I've even yelled at the crowd for you. All right, I know that some of the people here do not behave right. But that being said, the people here that don't behave right, it reflects the leadership in this room. If you do not like how we act, display better leadership, okay? This was not about health. It was not about safety because there's so many numbers that go both ways. This was a political decision. I am not dumb. I may not be as highly as intelligent as you, but I'm not dumb. So don't insult my intelligence and I won't insult yours. That being said, you made a political decision that threw a rift through this community. You got people out in the parking lot screaming at each other, and it's because of you 5. You did this. And I'm going to end with saying this. As one of you may know, because I believe you're a history teacher, the elected bodies, historically, that side with compulsion are evil. I'm not saying you're evil, but the decisions are evil. It's not you that I fear. It is the medical doctor that stands up here in his public comments and tells people that unmasked and unvaccinated children are a risk. That is asinine. To the children that are here with their parents, you got a good mom. I don't agree with what she said. You got a good mom. You need to listen to her. You need to follow her example. But if you see my children in school without wearing a mask, they're not a danger. They're healthy because I'm smart enough to make sure that my kids don't put other people at risk.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Matthew. Heather Peterson, and then after Heather, we have Tracy Cafiro, Jabari Hosey, and then Cheyenne Dryden, and then we may take a break. We'll see.
My name is Heather Peterson. My husband and I are residents of Brevard County for 8 years now. We have 3 children in the BPS system, 15, 13, and 8 years old. I am here today to put you on notice that the continued illegal behavior of this school board will stop. You will be replaced, and none of us will stop until it's accomplished. The sole purpose of your job is to ensure a quality education for my children, and you're failing on a massive scale. You work for me. You do not get to decide anything on behalf of my children in any other capacity other than education. The last school board meeting you called, I had been admitted to the hospital with COVID and pneumonia because I have asthma. And instead of concentrating on healing and getting home to my family, I was forced to deal with the illegal decisions of this tyrannical school board who thought that they had the right to strip me from my parental rights to make decisions for my children. Thank goodness I had the support of the Moms for Liberty to find the exemptions that I needed for my children. You made the decision despite the fact that there has yet one study to prove that masks work. The CDC's own website, studies cite that it is inconclusive. How disgusting that your own lawyer told you it's illegal to vote yes, and yet you did it anyway. You have allowed politics to severely cloud your judgment and not do what's best for our children's education. You have woken something in this community. It's not going away. We will not forget, and we will not stop fighting for our rights and liberties. I've always taught my children that their choices have consequences, and you ladies, they're coming.
Mr. Susan. All right, Tracy? No Tracy? Jabari Hosey?
Hi, my name is Jabari Hosey. I'm speaking in regards to the action that took place with the emergency meeting. I want to thank the 3 school board members directly for taking the necessary action and protecting our kids during this pandemic with universal masking in schools. That was a courageous move that has now potentially has saved lives. I also want to thank the school board member, though she did not support the motion, but complied with it immediately and gave us an example to follow by not shouting or complaining about a new rule in place. I also want to thank the superintendent for taking necessary action, responding to disinformation, and allowing universal masking to happen as efficiently and effectively as possible. The 3 of you didn't fold to political persuasion or fear, but instead followed the science and the data to do what is best. And that leaves me with one last member who chose fiction over fact, politics over people, pandering over protection. This individual aligned himself with another political figure who doesn't live in his district. That political figure you do not live in that political figure's district. His career is now muddied with hypocrisy and hesitancy, lies and distruth. You are supposed to represent me, work with students and parents that live in your district. But clearly, we don't matter. I wish you well as you travel down your political downward spiral, and I thank the majority of the board for taking the necessary action to protect our children and the 1,400 plus members of Families for Safe Schools also, who are parents, grandparents, and many members of the community as we continue to grow as a group. Also, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jabari. I had a request for a recess from board members. We have 12, huh? Yeah, we can take, we have Cheyenne, is Cheyenne Dryden still in here? Cheyenne, if you would like to approach, and then we'll take a break after Cheyenne and then finish out our public comment, okay? They don't have to be quiet. They can talk. if they want.
Please let me breathe.
I actually emailed all 5 board members about Tuesday. I picked him up from school. He had a snack that happens at 10 o'clock pressed into his mask.
Mommy, I want to.
Okay, say it.
Please let me.
Good job. I received an auto response from Ms. Buford, but that's it. Nobody wants to get back to why kindergartners who do this all day. That's what they're doing all day. His whole class, all day, is pick up your mask, oh, fix your mask, fix your mask. No more. Or the high schooler who's scared to take her mask off because she's going to get bullied by her teachers. Teachers, not students, adults bullying 15-year-olds. It's not okay. They're not mask police. They're underpaid, we're understaffed, and you guys want them to do more, constantly. You don't respect your teachers that you're saying you're doing it for. You care about the students? Why aren't you guys in the schools more? Do more for the school. Provide them with proper PPE if that's what you want them to have. His education's being disrupted. My high schooler missed 17 days of school. She went to 8 days this year. I'm gonna have to leave because of the kids. But that's my point. Okay, let's go. Okay?
Thank you, Cheyenne. All right, board members, we're going to take a brief recess, and then we will come back and finish out our public comment, okay? All right. All right, we are back in session and we'll finish up the remainder of our public speakers. I just want to remind our audience that the speaker's time is the speaker's time. We shouldn't be hearing from the audience during the speaker's time in support or against, nor should we be hearing after the speaker is finished so that the next person can hear what's going on and get to the mic, okay? Our next three speakers are going to be Ron McClellan, Julia Anton, and Jasana Oakwood. Ron?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Mullins, neighbors, and friends. I apologize for not being able to be here during the emergency meeting. Unfortunately, the coronavirus made 2 appearances at my house. So I appreciate the vote. I appreciate the stress that you are under. As I was listening, I heard a familiar term crop up. Critical race theory, critical race theory, critical race theory. So tonight, I want to appoint myself just a representative of those whose parents, or maybe even their grandparents, didn't say hello the same way that you and I do. They might say hola, they might say bonjour, they might say konnichiwa, they might say dzień dobry, or maybe even, God forbid, assalamu alaikum. You see, while we're here in America, we have liberties. There's a collection of individuals that have dedicated themselves to liberty. But we also have liberty to be free from xenophobia, free from sexism, discrimination. So I want to be unambiguously clear that critical race theory should not be taught in schools, because it isn't. It should remain in graduate level schools where it is. However, I want to encourage the board to follow Governor DeSantis' order. Teach fair, unbiased history. So in other words, if you're going to teach it all. Teach why we had to have a 13th and 14th Amendment. Teach why we had to have a constitutional amendment just to give women the right to vote. Teach why we just got the Equal Rights Amendment ratified last year. If you're going to teach it all. Teach why after Pearl Harbor, we rounded up Japanese Americans, put them in internment camps. One of those families had the last name Takai. They had a son named George. You might know him from Star Trek. Yo, we locked up Sulu. I mean, Sulu. But if you notice, I said we, because I share that history too. As Americans, as board members, we must reconcile our past, the dark days of our past, to the brighter days that are ahead. I look forward to engaging with you and speaking with you in the weeks ahead. Matter of fact, I'm going to be here so much you're going to think I'm a piece of furniture. And with that, I yield back. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ron. Have a great night. Julia?
I'm reading from the Parents' Bill of Rights, and it says, infringement of parental rights, the state, any of its political subdivisions, or any governmental entity, or any other institution may not infringe on the fundamental rights of a parent to direct the upbringing, education, health care, and mental health of his or her minor child. It doesn't stop there. It also says, they may, without demonstrating that such action is reasonable and necessary to achieve a compelling state interest, and that such action is narrowly tailored and is not otherwise served by a less restrictive means. It didn't stop before the word unless. It continued with the word unless. And it established that if there is a compelling state interest that you can show, then you have the right to make decisions. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out any reason why anyone with integrity would have read that and heard the judge rule on it and rule on it again and stand here and quote lawyer Google or quote Steve Bannon or whoever they're getting it from and claim that your decision was illegal. Now, there is zero integrity in claiming that that was an illegal decision. And when they come at you and they yell at you that you're fired and they're going to take your job because you made that legal decision, they're making an assumption about your integrity and they're assuming that you have none. They're assuming that you're so power hungry that you would put children's lives at stake just to keep your job on the board. Now, if someone comes up to you and says, put people's lives for me, or put people's lives at risk because I want you to, there's only one response to that. You look them in the eye and you roar at them and you say, not no, but oh heck no. I'm not doing that. Now, they're here making noise, but they're not the only citizens in Brevard County. They don't represent the people who are immune compromised and can't come to this petri dish of an event. They don't represent the thousands of people who have signed petitions for masks. There's a lot of people they don't represent, and that includes me. Some of us value integrity. We value lives. We value integrity.
Thank you, Julia. All right, Desana, and then after that we have Cindy Martin, Aurora Shaner, and then Melissa Hanson. Desana Oakwood? No? All right, Cindy Martin? No Cindy Martin either?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thank you to the two board members who opposed the mask mandate. The Miami Herald reports today that yesterday Judge Cooper lifted an automatic stay that had been triggered when the DeSantis administration appealed the September 2nd ruling to the First District Court of Appeal. The motion filed Wednesday night requested that the Tallahassee-based appeals court reimpose the stay while the underlying battle about the September 2nd ruling moves forward. The motion contends in part that Cooper's ruling violated constitutional separation of powers and delved into policy and political issues about whether schools should be allowed to require masks. As long as the mask mandate litigation continues, students have the right to choose whether they wear a mask or not while attending school. Show me a legitimate study demonstrating that your masks are effective in filtering out COVID-19 viruses. I haven't seen one yet. There hasn't been one produced yet. I'd love to see it. I promise you I would read every word and I would share it. I did send out one of the masks that your BPS schools provide to students to an independent lab, and I am personally paying for a report of efficacy of filtration for COVID-19 and its associated variant. I'm happy to pay for that. I have some extra money. It's going to be 6 weeks before I receive that data for you. I'll be happy to share it. Also, please be aware that the administration and teachers bullying and retaliating against students with medical exemptions will not be tolerated, and legal action will be taken. Some kids actually document these instances of bullying and retaliation for their medical exemptions by teachers and staff at BPS schools. A lot of these kids have recording devices and they do record. They also know how to use YouTube pretty well. I'm sure you did hear about the Las Vegas substitute teacher who taped a mask to her student's face, which humiliated that student in front of his classmates and caused irreparable harm psychologically to him. According to his statement, he knew of at least 5 other students who endured such treatment by a teacher doing the same type of thing to other students. I predict that that will be litigated. We definitely don't want a situation whereby BPS is sued for conduct such as this. This is a fantastic school system. I agree with the previous speaker. I do believe that this board is extremely intelligent. I also believe that the timing of Judge Cooper's ruling is very suspicious. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Aurora?
Good evening. Aurora. The fourth grade students are currently learning about government, and yet our very own local school government is letting our children down by breaking the law. In the Social Studies Weekly last week, my fourth grader's favorite question was, quote, "What are some common issues that face the state of Florida?" Close quote. His answer was, quote, "Current issues in Florida are mask mandates in schools. The Brevard School District Board members broke the state of Florida law by voting the mask mandates without parental opt-out. Florida House Bill 241, Parents' Bill of Rights, effective July 1st, 2021, close quote. I'm going to add that you not only broke the law, but you broke their trust. And what you've done and continue to do is unethical and unconstitutional. My son said, why do I have to follow their school mask mandate if they don't follow the state law? Our kids don't need your permission to breathe oxygen. It's a God-given right to all of us. The masks are not proven to prevent the spreading of the virus. Why are we quarantining healthy kids? A headache is not a reason to send a child home for 10 days and miss on school. It's our mission as a school district to serve every student with excellence. Then if that's the question. So then why are the kids having to pay for your lack of excellence by not being allowed to breathe normal levels of oxygen during their school hours? Parents should be able to opt out without a doctor's note. I have my parental right to make medical decisions for my children, not you, not other parents. No person should be mandated to do anything. I'm anti-mandate, especially not in this free country of ours, not for a 99.9 survival rate virus. We all have an immune system. How about mandating vitamins, fruits, and vegetables? Well, I'm anti-mandate. So virtual learning could be a solution for those at risk or afraid of getting sick. I take care of my health and my kids' health, and I like to keep it that way. Our free agencies are the ultimate human right. Please stop quarantining our healthy kids and stop asphyxiating them. My child, my choice. I'm an immigrant and a mom who cares about keeping my kids and America free. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa? And as Melissa's approaching, our next two speakers will be Shondell Barber and then Christopher McGill.
Hi, so I'm here to speak out about the implementation of the mask mandate. Your mission on the board says to serve every student with excellence as a standard, to serve, to be a servant. That does not mean mandating or forcing. As a parent, we know what's best for our children. I'm not here to tell other parents how to raise their children, what to feed them, how they should behave, and nor should you be dictating without consent from the parents. Consent matters. It's the ultimate form of respect. Have you asked the children how they feel, what they want? Again, it's a respectful choice. Just as parents are split, they are as well. My child has struggled to keep up with his peers, and now you're forcing another layer of distraction to his learning. How are children supposed to understand compassion when they cannot see faces? How are they supposed to overcome speech impediments when they can't see how to proper pronunciate? How are they be able to be inspired when they're being restrained? If you're scared, then you have an option, right? You're an adult. You can make the decision for yourself and your family. You can mask. Our children should not be living this way without parental consent. Our children have already been stripped away of their innocence. They have grown up faster than we did at their age. My kid comes down with mandatory lockdown, right? Like we're having conversations about hiding from potential shooters in the building. Now we're worried about a mask too. We teach our children to be respectful of others, but are we teaching them that today? Don't they deserve respect? We teach our children that they can only control their own actions and reactions. We should practice what we preach. You take care of you, we'll take care of us. We all make choices. I hope you can all reflect on the choices you made and feel confident and secure in the results that will follow. Please be respectful of choice. Choice for all. We just heard about the budget with respect to enrollment. We all make choices. Remember, a person's a person, no matter how small. And again, I'd like to say thank you to the two members who actually allowed us as parents to still have a choice in how our children are raised. Thank you.
Thank you. Shondell?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Shondell Barber. I've been a resident of the Earth for 6 years, and I grew up in Florida. I have 3 children, ages 6, 7, and 9, that have attended Brevard County. We moved to this county because of the school board and because of the schools and the excellence they have proven. However, today I'm here to upset and I need to fight for my children right now. Okay, and I do applaud the ones that did vote for this. I've been in the dental industry for 20 years. I hold a bachelor's degree in business. I'm OSHA certified, training, compliance, and I hold a bachelor's in business and theology. The coronavirus, when I found this out, I was appalled. This is from the American Medical Association Encyclopedia 1989. The coronavirus is listed in that book as what? A common cold. Okay, that's 1989. Google has removed. Why is my mic not working? Okay, just checking on you. Right. The CDC director has openly admitted that COVID-19 vaccines cannot protect you. Also starting to change the language from immune to protected. That's next. Headaches, anxiety, sensory issues, psychological effects violates the Disability Act. You are breaking the law, and I will make sure that all of you are responsible for it. And if it gets to the point to the Nuremberg, you might want to be a little careful next time. Mask wearing, right? And these are all I have proof of all the doctors. By wearing a mask, the exhaled viruses will not be able to escape and will concentrate the nasal passages, enter into the olfactory nerve, and goes right straight to the brain. That's Russell Brand, the AMD. 17 studies were analyzed and concluded that none of the established conclusive relationships between mask, respirator use, and protection against influenza, common cold, / coronavirus, for our medical history, states that the coronavirus is a common cold. Wearing masks for long periods of time, that my children are crying because they're being upset, they can't learn, They're pulling their mask, and they're treated as if they were bad if their mask slips down their nose. Tyranny. You're violating my rights as a citizen and as a parent. I pay taxes. I pay a lot. This year, I'm going to pay you 0, because that's exactly what you earn. I hope DeSantis will take your salary away, because what you're doing right now is illegal. What's going on in North Carolina is the same thing. Our rights are being violated. You've also violated the rights of the Special Needs Disability Act, the IP.
Thank you. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Christopher McGill?
OSHA says.
You're done, ma'am. Please step away. Please step away from the mic, ma'am. Yes, out. Yeah, out. That's okay. Okay. Christopher McGill, thank you for your patience, sir.
How's it going, school board members? I'm Christopher McGill. I have a beautiful little daughter named Adeline McGill. She attends Suntree Elementary. I try to look at everything on both sides. I want to see it from one person's point of view and another person's point of view and try to come together. It seems like everyone can't figure that out. But also, I like to look into things because, anybody can tell you anything, but does that mean it's trustworthy to believe? It doesn't matter if it's your average Joe or a person that has 14 different degrees, because we've come to find out that there's evil, there's corruption in every level, industry, company, agency, government, anything that you could possibly think of, it does exist. So with that said, I took a screenshot of what this mask box labels on it, the ones that a majority of you are wearing and you're making others wear as well. It says, this product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide any protection against COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, or other viruses or contaminants. Wearing an ear loop mask does not reduce the risk of contracting any disease or infection. User is solely responsible for the addition of appropriate personal protective equipment. So what that states is the mask does nothing. They don't want to be held liable. So that's why they label their box that. So why don't you guys read what it states before you tell others that they need to wear this? It's disrespectful. And if we want to get to that topic, we can look at last year's numbers. I know we had another gentleman, and I respect that gentleman and his numbers and stuff like that. But Florida had a very low case numbers, and we didn't have a mask mandate. But if you looked at a lot of these other states, they had multiple mask mandates, and they had higher numbers of deaths. So at the end of the day, these numbers, they matter because it shows you that the mask didn't work. I also want to let you know that the same agencies that you guys listen to are telling you to enforce masks. They're the same ones that telling you that there's a Delta variant. Do we have a test for a Delta variant? Because we don't. It's a lie. I also want to say, are any of you in possession or have you been stated to receive any federal funding on the condition of a universal masking and of any other COVID protocols of anyone, the staff and or students for the school district? If so, you are then representing these individuals and not the ones that have elected you. So I just want to put all you guys on notice. If you're receiving any kind of gifts, assets, any kind of bonuses, you're being promised things by special interest groups, if you don't think that we're not going to figure this out, we do have whistleblowers. People are inside and they're scared to death because they have gag orders put on them, but they're going to blow the whistle and they're going to expose a lot of what's going on. So hopefully you guys think before you take your next
Thank you,
actions.
sir. We appreciate you joining us this evening.
God bless you guys.
All right, that is going to conclude our public comment for today. Does any other board member have anything else to report? I'm just going to make one short comment before I turn it over to you, Dr. Mullins, and then Mr. Gibbs needs some time this evening as well. There have been lots of comments made, accusations about students being bullied, and I just want to make it very clear that no one on this board is supportive of any faculty or staff bullying students over masks. We've made it very clear that is not the expectation. Given that, I'm not saying it has not happened, But I am saying that general statements of this taking place don't help us. If there is a situation where this is taking place, then number one, contact the principal, and number two, let us know. But generalities of these things taking place don't help us to address the issue. So if you actually want the issue addressed, much better to reach out to us so we can address it directly, instead of making broad public statements where we can't actually address it. All right, Dr. Mullins, do you have anything more to add this evening?
Ms. Belford, Ms. Belford, thank you for those comments. I do want to also add, I feel it necessary to come to the defense of some amazing staff members, men and women, who have devoted themselves to serving our children in our cafeterias across the district. Some allegations have come forth that have been determined invalid, and the suggestion that the men and women who put themselves on the front line last school year, throughout the summer, and continuously throughout last year to ensure that our kids have a healthy meal for them was very disappointing. And those, to the degree that we could investigate those allegations, they were completely determined unfounded, that children were denied food because they weren't wearing a mask. So I had the opportunity to visit one of the cafeterias that were accused of that and provided that staff the reassurance, but I could tell you that they were hurt. And I just want to acknowledge their work and their service and their dedication to our kids and their selfless commitment to serving the kids of our county and ensuring that they have healthy meals every day available for them. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mullins. All right. At this point, the chair recognizes the board's attorney, Paul Gibbs.
Good evening, board members. I'm notifying you that advice is needed regarding OJCC case Pablo Burbano versus the School Board of Brevard County, Florida, case number 21-007623 RLD. Pursuant to 286.011 Florida statutes known as the Government in the Sunshine Act, I am requesting an attorney-client session with the board for the purpose of discussing the evaluation and/or compromise of said claim. I will ask the board's clerk to cause reasonable public notice of the time and date of this attorney-client session and the names of the persons attending to be published. It is suggested that the attorney-client session be held September 17th, 2021 at 1 p.m. As required by the statute, only the following individuals will be present: Misty Belford, Board Chair; Matt Susan, Vice Chair; Katie Campbell, School Board Member; Jennifer Jenkins, School Board Member; Cheryl McDougall, School Board Member; Deputy Superintendent Dr. Beth Betty, sitting in for Superintendent Dr. Mark Mullins; Paul Gibbs, General Counsel; William Rogner, Esquire, the HR law firm. I will ask a court reporter to record the session, also as required by statute. Her notes will be fully transcribed and filed with the clerk of the school board. Upon the conclusion of any litigation and/or settlement of all claims arising out of this incident, the transcript will be made public record.
No worries. I recommend the board hold an attorney-client session pursuant to section 286.011 Florida statutes to discuss a pending claim. If there are no objections, I will instruct our attorney to schedule the attorney-client session to be held September 17th, 2021, starting at 1 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard. Do I hear any objection from any board member? Hearing none, Mr. Gibbs, move forward as directed.
Thank you.
All right. There being no further business, this meeting is now adjourned. Have a great night.
You know, I want to say, I just really want to.
Hi guys, so I am currently driving because I have a photo shoot to do this morning. I have a Mother's Day shoot to do, so I am running late as usual because I'm always late. Yeah guys, so I have a photo shoot to do at Hope Garden. I wanted to vlog it to show you guys like what it's like doing the photo shoot, you know. I have little Levy in the car. She is sleepy. Once we start driving, she gets sleepy. I don't know why. But yeah, guys, I am gonna vlog the whole journey. Go on, sir. Go on, go on. Yeah, I'm gonna vlog it and you guys see what it's like. Yes, guys. I did my own makeup this morning. Oh my gosh, how's it looking? My face looks so fat. Like, why is my face looking so fat? Nelly is sleeping.